So, we were considering graphs and we were considering undirected graphs. So, we know what is meant by node or vertex and edges, node or vertex and edges. We also saw how to represent a graph by means of adjacency matrix. Now, when do we say that two graphs are isomorphic? Isomorphic graphs. In fact, if in any structure two items have equivalent properties, then we say we consider them in an equal manner. For example, we consider two triangles to be congruent. These two triangles are congruent because the sides are equal and also the angles are equal. And this triangle and this triangle are said to be similar because the sides are proportional and the angles are equal. They have some similar structure. Similarly, we also saw that a graph is mainly brings out the incident relationship between the nodes. The vertices are some entities and the graph brings out the connection between them. It is immaterial whether we draw it as a curved line or as a straight line and so on. This is what we have seen earlier. So, in such a representation, when do you say that two graphs are isomorphic? Two graphs are isomorphic if there is a one-to-one mapping between the vertices which preserves the incident relationship. Look at these two graphs. These two graphs are isomorphic. They have 8 vertices and you can see that the incidence relationship is preserved. Look at these two graphs. You can identify vertex E with vertex V5 and vertex V4 with D and V3 with C, V1 with A and V2 with B. So, somewhat you can write like this: A corresponds to V1, B corresponds to V2, C corresponds to V3, D corresponds to V4 and E corresponds to V5. So, there is an edge between V4 and V5, there is an edge 1 between D and E. That incidence relationship is preserved. E1 corresponds to 1, E2 corresponds to 2, it is between 2 is between A and D and E2 is between V1 and V4. You can see the correspondence. 3 is between C and D. Here E3 is between V1 and V3. E3 corresponds to 4 and E4 corresponds to 3. CD. E3 corresponds to V1 and it connects V1 and V3. V1 corresponds to A and C. So, E4 corresponds to E3 which connects V1 and V3 corresponds to 4 and E4 which corresponds to V4 and V3 corresponds to 3. Between A and B there is edge 5 which corresponds to E5 between V1 V2 and between V2 and V3 or between B and C you have edge 6 which corresponds to E6. So, here you will find that E1 corresponds to 1, E2 corresponds to 2, E3, E4 corresponds, E5 corresponds to 5, E6 corresponds to 6, and the incidence relationship is preserved. So, these two graphs are said to be isomorphic. Similarly, you can see that even though we have not labeled the edges and the vertices, you can see this these two graphs are isomorphic. Here you find that this graph is isomorphic to this graph. Here some edges are missing. This you must also have edges between this and this, this and this, this and this, here this and this, and so on. So, that graph will be like this. The first graph should be like this. You can see the correspondence between this and the second graph. It is easy to see the correspondence, but it is difficult to see the correspondence because it is 6 and 4, but this is also isomorphic to that. You can identify each vertex with an vertex here. Now, when you have two graphs isomorphic, they should have equal number of vertices they should have equal number of edges and equal number of vertices of a particular degree. For example, in the earlier one, there are 1, 2, 3 vertices of degree 3. Here also there are 1, 2, 3 vertices of degree 3. There is a vertex of degree 1, here there is a vertex of degree 1, there is a vertex of degree 2, there is one vertex of degree 2. So, if two graphs are isomorphic, they will have equal number of vertices, they will have equal number of edges and equal number of vertices of a particular degree. But these three conditions may be satisfied, but still the graphs may not be isomorphic. Let us consider an example. Look at these two graphs, this and this. How many vertices this has? This has got 6 vertices. This also has 6 vertices. And how many edges it has got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edges is this has got. This also has got 5 edges. And there are 3 vertices of degree 1. Here also there are 3 vertices of degree 1. There is one vertex of degree 3, there is one vertex of degree 3 here. There are 2 vertices of degree 2, these 2 are vertices of degree 2. So, both the graphs have 6 vertices, 5 edges, 3 vertices of degree 1, 2 vertices of degree 2, 1 vertex of degree 3. So, these conditions are satisfied, but they are not isomorphic. Why? See, we have seen that a vertex with degree 1 is called a pendant vertex. So, in this case u and v are pendant vertices. and this is the only vertex with degree 3, x is the only vertex with degree 3. Here y is the vertex with degree 3. So, this x should correspond to this y, and y has only one pendant vertex near to it. There is only one pendant vertex attached to it like this, whereas here there are two pendant vertices u and v are attached to this. So, the structure is different. So, these two graphs are not isomorphic. These are necessary conditions, but not sufficient conditions. So, something may satisfy all the three conditions, still the two graphs may not be isomorphic. We have already seen what is a subgraph. So, take for example, this graph. Okay, I will just change it a little bit. Consider this graph with vertices A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, this is a subgraph of that. B, C, D. This is a subgraph of this. Similarly, if you consider B, A, D, B, A, D, this is also a subgraph of that. These two are subgraphs and they do not have any edges in common. They are called edge disjoint subgraphs. Edge disjoint but they have vertices. This also has B and D, this also has B and D, but no edge is common between them. So, they are called edge disjoint subgraphs. And look at this and a subgraph, say E F like this. These two do not have any vertex also in common. They are vertex disjoint. When they are vertex disjoint subgraphs, obviously they will be also edge disjoint. There is no vertex common between them. Both are subgraphs of this, and so there is no edge also common between them. So, these are some of the common terminologies used in graph theory. And if you have a graph G, a subgraph of G, say G dash, and another subgraph of G dash, subgraph G2 dash, this is a subgraph of G dash and this is a subgraph of G. In that case, G2 dash will also be a subgraph of G, obviously. These are some of the obvious results. Next, we shall see what is meant by a walk and what is meant by a path. We have already seen what is meant by a path and what is meant by a simple path in the case of directed graphs. Now, in the case of undirected graphs, what do we mean by walk and what do we mean by a path? Let us consider the definition. Walk is defined as a finite alternating sequence of vertices and edges beginning and ending with vertices such that each edge is incident with the vertices preceding and following it. No edge appears more than once in a walk. A vertex may, however, appear more than once. So, what is a walk? Let us consider one example. Let us take this graph with vertices V1, V2, V3, V4 V5, V6, 6 vertices are there. There are edges A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and let us see what is meant by a walk. Let us give some examples of walks here. So, look at this V1, B, V2, E, V3, H, V3, D, V4, V1, B, V2, B, E, V3, H, V3, D, V4. This is a walk. No edge appears more than once, but the vertex V3 appears twice. That is okay. Now, look at this V4, C, V2, F, V5, G, V6. This is also a walk. Here no vertex also is repeated. This is called a path. Now, before that, one more example of a walk V1, B, V2, C, V4, A, V1. V1, B, V2, C, V4, A, V1, that is a walk. Every edge is incident on the vertex preceding it and following it. C is incident on V2 and V4, A is incident on V4 and V1. This is called a closed walk because the beginning is V1 and the ending is also V1. The beginning vertex and the ending vertex are called terminal vertices, and if they happen to be the same, then it is called a closed walk. It is called a closed walk. This is a closed walk. In this case, V1, B, V2, E, V3, H, V3, D, V4, the beginning and the ending vertices are not the same. This is called a open walk. If the beginning vertex and the end vertex are not the same, it is called a open walk. In a walk, no edge can be repeated, but a vertex can be repeated. If in a walk no vertex is also repeated, as in this case V4, C, V2, V4, C, V2, F, V5, G, V6, no vertex is repeated, no edge is repeated. That is called a path. Okay. This corresponds to what is meant by a simple path in the directed graph. And in a closed walk, no vertex is repeated. If in a open walk, no vertex is repeated, it is called a path. If in a closed walk, no vertex is repeated, it is called a cycle or a circuit. For example, here V1, B, V2, which we have already seen, V1, B, V1, B, V2, C, V4, A, V1. This is a closed walk, no vertex is also repeated except the beginning and the end, and that is a cycle or a circuit. Similarly, you can also have V4, C, V2, E, V3, D. This is also a D, V4. Beginning and the end are the same, and no vertex or edges repeated in the middle. This is called a closed walk, and this is called a circuit or a cycle. So, for example, a cycle will be of this form. A cycle will be of this form. This is a cycle on 6 vertices. with two vertices you can have something like this, with one vertex it will be like this. These are cycles. Now, we earlier considered the Königsberg bridge problem, okay? The river which was flowing and there were 7 bridges on that and so on. Let us consider it once more. This was the river and there are 2 islands and 2 banks. There were 7 bridges like this. You can number the bridges if you want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you represent it as a graph, node B is represented like this, node A, node D, C. There is an edge between B and C, there is a bridge between B and C which is 5. Between A and B there are 2 edges, 1 and 2. Between B and D there are 2 edges, 3 and 4, and between C and A there is an edge, there is a bridge, that is 6. Between C and D there is 1. So, this whole structure can be represented by a graph in this manner. And the question was, starting from any one of the 4 areas A, B, C, D, can you go along every bridge once and come back to the same position? It amounts to saying whether you have a closed walk in this graph which will cover all the edges. So, we come to the definition of an Euler graph. What is an Euler graph? If some closed walk in a graph contains all the edges of the graph, then the walk is called an Euler line and the graph is called an Euler graph. Take for example this, a simple one, a circuit. Start from here, you can traverse all the edges and come back to the same position. You may also have something like this, you can also have something like this. See, this is a simple circuit. Start from here, you can traverse like this, you can traverse like this. So, you will have a closed walk which covers all the edges in this graph. So, that is an Euler graph. In this case, you cannot do that. So, this is not an Euler graph. And what is the condition for a graph to be an Euler graph? So, again let us see the definition. If some closed walk in a graph contains all the edges of a graph, then the walk is called an Euler line and the graph is an Euler graph. And how can we say whether a graph is Euler or not? The following theorem tells you when you can say whether a graph is Euler graph or not. A given connected graph G is an Euler graph if and only if all the vertices of G are of even degree. So, this tells you how to test whether a given graph is Euler graph or not. A given connected graph G is an Euler graph if and only if all the vertices of G are of even degree. Let us prove that theorem. The first portion is, if it is Euler graph, then all vertices are of even degree. Then we have to prove the converse. If all vertices are of even degree, then the graph is an Euler graph. What is an Euler graph? You should have a closed walk which covers all the edges. So, take any, it starts at this point say, and then it ends at this point. In between there is a vertex say. Whenever it enters through one edge, it has to leave through another edge. No edge is repeated in a walk, and we are considering a closed walk. So, if it enters this node once, it has to leave that, if that walk enters this node once, it has to leave through another edge only, not the same edge. And by some chance, if it enters again, it cannot use these two, it has to leave this node through a different edge. So, if you calculate like that, you can very easily see that the number of edges incident on any vertex is even, or the degree of this vertex is even. Look at the start node. This is the start node. The path starts from here, the walk starts from here. So, once degree, you can account for 1 degree, and it ends here. So, that is another degree. If it enters this node, it has to leave through another edge. So, even in the start node, which also happens to be the end node, whenever it enters, the closed walk enters this node, it has to leave through another edge, and the beginning it leaves through this edge, and in the end it enters this node through this edge. So, here again you will find that the degree of that node is even. So, if you have a closed walk which covers all the edges of the graph, then all vertices are of even degree. This we can very easily see. Now, conversely, it is if and only if. The theorem says if and only if. So, the other way around, if all vertices are of even degree, then it is an Euler graph. One point we have to remember is, we consider a connected graph. If a closed walk exists which covers all the edges, means it should be a connected graph. We do not consider isolated vertices. You may have some connected graph and some isolated components, like isolated vertices which do not have any edges. We do not worry about these isolated vertices. Now, you have a graph where each degree, each vertex, it is a connected graph, and each vertex is of even degree. Now, take a vertex, and you must show that there is a closed walk which covers all the edges of the graph. Now, you start and you traverse through some, you should not, no edge should be repeated. You traverse until you reach, you have covered one portion. One closed walk you have found, starting from here and ending here. And if it so happens that it covers all the edges, well and good. But if it does not cover all the edges, then remove these edges which you have already traversed and consider the remaining graph. In the remaining graph, there will be at least one node which is present here. So, for example, I will, instead of drawing like this, I will consider this example which we considered. So, starting from here, consider a closed walk like this. It has started from here and ended here. So, remove all these edges. Now, the remaining portion will have at least one vertex which is common to this, which is common between this portion and which you have already considered and this. Now, start at this vertex A and again consider a closed walk, you will get one more. Suppose there is something like this. After traversing like this, you will be left with this, that again you can cover like that. So, start from a node and traverse along the edges, not repeating any edge till you reach the same point, then you have got a closed walk, and remove these edges in the closed walk. Then the remaining portion will have at least one vertex which is common with this, and start from that vertex and try to find another closed walk. If it covers all the edges, it is okay, otherwise remove these edges, and when you remove, the remaining portion will have at least one vertex which is common with to this, because the graph is connected. If the graph is not connected, it may not have a vertex in common, but because it is connected, there will be at least one vertex which is common to this, and so start from here and traverse. For example, in this case, if you have started from here, you can have a closed walk which covers all the edges like this. This is possible because all vertices are even degree. Okay. So, when you remove this portion, you have removed two edges from here, but this vertex is of even degree. So, when you have removed two edges, still it is of even degree, that property is maintained, and so you can proceed until you get a closed walk. You will be building the closed walk step by step. So, if all vertices are of even degree, then you get a Euler line, and the graph is called a Euler graph. Look at this problem. When you represent it as a graph, what is the degree of B? The degree of B is 5, the degree of A is 3, degree of D is 3, degree of C is 3. None of the vertices are of even degree. Even if one vertex is not of even degree, it cannot be an Euler graph. Here, all the vertices are of odd degree. So, this is not an Euler graph. So, you cannot have an Euler line, that is, you cannot start at a point, traverse through all the edges and reach the same point, having traversed each edge only once and having covered all the edges. So, we have seen what is meant by an Euler graph, some examples of Euler graphs. Look at this. This graph is an Euler graph. You can see that each vertex is of even degree. Here you see, starting from here, you can traverse like this and have a closed path here. Then again, starting from here, continue the closed path and end here. So, this has got a Euler line, so Euler graph. Similarly, here you may have an, starting from here, you may have an Euler line like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, come to the point, then cover the other edges like this. So, it is an Euler line. We may relax the condition a little bit. See, a closed walk should cover all the edges of the graph, and it has to start and end at the same vertex. Then it is called a Euler graph. If you relax it a little bit and say that the starting and the end node need not be the same, there should be a closed walk covering all the edges of the graph, but it need not start and end at the same points. In this case, also you have an Euler line, but it is a open walk, it is not closed, and the graph is called a unicursal graph. This is an example of a unicursal graph. Here you can start from A and end in B, and you can cover all the edges. Start from A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a walk, but it does not start and end at the same position. It starts at A and ends at B, and such a graph which has an walk like that is called a unicursal graph. Here all vertices except the beginning and the end vertices will be of even degree. Only two vertices, which are the beginning vertex and the ending vertex, they will be of odd degree. You can see that the walk begins at A and ends at B. A has degree 3, B has degree 3. Rest of them, C has degree 2, D has degree 4, they are all of even degree, E has degree 2. So, except the beginning vertex and the ending vertex, all other vertices will have degree 2, the degree even degree, and the beginning vertex and the ending vertex will have odd degrees. Such a graph is called an unicursal graph. Now, we have seen what is meant by a Hamiltonian Euler graph. We shall see what is meant by a Hamiltonian path and circuit. An Euler line of a connected graph was characterized by the property of being a closed walk that traverses every edge of the graph. This is what we have seen now. In contrast to that, what is a Hamiltonian circuit? A Hamiltonian circuit is in a connected graph is defined as a closed walk that traverses every vertex of G exactly once, except of course the starting vertex and the ending vertex. They happen to be the same, the starting vertex at which the walk also terminates. So, in contrast to an Euler line, a Hamiltonian circuit is in a connected graph is defined as a closed walk that traverses every vertex of G exactly once, except the starting vertex at which the walk also terminates. Let us see what is a Hamiltonian circuit. Look at this graph. It has got a Hamiltonian circuit. There is a closed walk. Take this point. It starts like this, it starts like this, it goes 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 like this, and like that. So, there is a closed walk which covers all the vertices, and each vertex occurs only once in this circuit. Similarly, here also you can have something like this, starting from here and you go along like this, like this. This is a Hamiltonian circuit in this graph. Even though the concept look very similar, an Euler line is a closed walk which will include all the edges of the graph and exactly once. A Hamiltonian circuit is a closed walk which will include all the vertices of the graph, each vertex included only once, except of course the beginning and the end. The definitions look very similar, but the concept of a Hamiltonian circuit is much more difficult than that of a Euler graph. We can very easily characterize an Euler graph. If all vertices are of even degree, it is an Euler graph. There is no such easy characterization for finding out whether a graph has a Hamiltonian circuit or not. Some graphs do not have Hamiltonian circuits, and some graphs may have several Hamiltonian circuits, and so on. These two graphs do not have Hamiltonian circuits. it is not so obvious when you look at them. Why we have to say these two graphs do not have Hamiltonian circuit? Take this one first. A Hamiltonian circuit will enter a vertex and leave an vertex. Only two edges incident on a vertex can be included in the Hamiltonian circuit. For example, if you take this vertex, it is of degree 2 and every vertex has to be present in the Hamiltonian circuit. So, you have to consider this edge, you have to consider this edge also. Similarly, for this edge, this vertex, you have to consider this edge and this edge. Like that for this vertex and for this vertex and this vertex. That is, you have to include this edge, all these edges. Now, once you finish that, you get this circuit, this closed walk, but this vertex already you have included two edges, so you cannot include them. So, there is no way you can go from this portion of the graph to the remaining portion of the graph and cover all the vertices. It is not possible. So, this graph does not have a Hamiltonian circuit. Similarly, this graph also does not have a Hamiltonian circuit. How can you say that? Of all the edges incident on a graph, only two of them can be included. For each vertex, only two edges can be included in the Hamiltonian circuit. So, look at this node. What is the degree of that node? The degree of that node is 5, of which only 2 can be included, the remaining 3 have to be omitted. So, you have to omit 3 edges incident on that, you have to omit 3 edges incident on this, and you have to omit 3 edges incident on that. So, 9 edges have to be excluded from the Hamiltonian circuit, and here there are 3 edges incident on this, of which only 2 you can take. So, 1 you have to omit here. Similarly, from here you have to omit 1, from here you have to omit 1, and from here you have to omit 1 edge. So, totally 9 plus 4, 13 edges you have to leave out in this Hamiltonian circuit, and totally how many vertices are there and how many edges are there? You can see that there are 6 plus 6 plus 4, 16 vertices. So, the Hamiltonian circuit should have 16 edges, then only it will be a Hamiltonian circuit. Because if you have a circuit say with 5 nodes, you will have 5 edges. So, a Hamiltonian circuit has to pass through all the vertices of the graphs. There are 16 vertices. So, the Hamiltonian circuit, if it exists, should be of size 16. Let us see how many edges are there in this graph. In this graph, there are 6, 18, then 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 edges are there in this graph. Out of the 27, you have to leave out 13. We have seen that you have to leave out 13. From 27, if you leave out 13, you will be left out with 14 edges. And the Hamiltonian circuit should have 16 edges. So, it is not possible to have a Hamiltonian circuit in this graph. It is easy to argue in some particular cases, but generally whether a graph has a Hamiltonian circuit or not is not very easy. It is one of the NP complete problems, what people call as difficult problems, NP complete problems. You cannot give a polynomial time deterministic algorithm for solving such problems. A complete graph, digraph we have seen. When we consider the relations, we have seen what is meant by a complete digraph. It represents a universal relation. For example, with 3 vertices, a complete digraph was like this. With 3 nodes, it was like this. In the case of undirected graph, if every node is connected to every other node, it is called a complete graph. This is a complete graph with 2 vertices, with 3 vertices. Here there is a vertex, this is also another vertex. So, with 4 vertices, this is a complete graph. This is a complete graph with 5 vertices. Every node is connected to every other node. How many edges will you have in a complete graph with n vertices? Complete graph with n vertices. Here we are considering undirected, because directed it will be different. Undirected graph. Graph means undirected. Each node is connected to every other node by an edge. So, you have n nodes, each one is connected to every other node. So, it is n into n minus 1 edges, but each edge is counted twice. So, for example, if you have 4 nodes, from this there are 3, from this there are 3, from this there are 3, then so on. So, 4 into 3 12, but this edge you count from this node also, from this node also. So, number of edges in a complete graph, undirected graph, is given by n into n minus 1 by 2. With 4 nodes, we can see that you have 6 edges, n is 4, 4 into 3 by 2 is 6. Similarly, you can see for 5, if you see for 5, there are 10 edges, 5 into 4, 20 by 2 is 10. There are 10 edges in the complete graph. Now, let us take this graph. Call this as A, B, C, D, and the edges as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Call the edges as like that. Does this have a Hamiltonian circuit? Any complete graph will have a definitely it will have one Hamiltonian circuit. For example, here A 1, B 2, D 5, C 6, A is a Hamiltonian circuit. A 1, B 2, D 5, C 6, A. It covers all the vertices A, B, C, D, and it starts and ends at A. This is a Hamiltonian circuit. Can you have any other Hamiltonian circuit here? You can have A 4, B 2, B 3, C 6, A. You have A, B, C, D, it starts and ends at A. Is it all, or do you have more? Can you find some more Hamiltonian circuits? Look at this. A 1, B 3, C 5, D 4, A. A 1, 3, C 5D 4A. This is another Hamiltonian circuit. Like that, how many Hamiltonian circuits we can have? In a complete graph with n vertices, there is a formula. If you have a complete graph with n vertices, they are also called cliques. The word, another word used is cliques of size n, you say. When a complete graph occurs as a subgraph, you call it as a click of size n. How many Hamiltonian circuit can it have? It will have n minus 1 factorial by 2. How is this possible? If you have n vertices, say, starting from one vertex, you can go to any one of the n minus 1 vertices next. Then from that vertex, you can go to any one of the n minus 2. You have to omit this. And starting from one of them, you will have n minus 3 possibilities until you end at the same node. Like here, A1, D, C, B, this is one possibility. But so this will amount to n minus 1 factorial, but you will count each circuit twice. For example, A1, B, 2D, 5C, B, and A, 6C, 5D, 2B, 1A, it is the same. It is the same. You are traversing in this direction. If you traverse in this direction, it represents the same Hamiltonian circuit. So, the total number of Hamiltonian circuit in a complete graph is given by this formula n minus 1 factorial by 2. So, we have learnt a few definitions and a few concepts about graphs. Tree is one of the special type of graphs. Trees are very useful as data structures. In many cases, you use them for storing some data and for searching. We shall study a little bit about trees and search trees. You can look at them as directed graphs. Of course, we shall also see in an undirected graph what is meant by a spanning tree. Trees can be defined this way. A tree is a digraph with a non-empty set of nodes such that there is exactly one node called the root of the tree which has got in degree 0. Every node other than the root has in degree 1. For every node of the tree, there is a directed path from the root to A. Okay. We shall look at them as directed graphs. So, there is a root. In the case of undirected graphs, we talk about degree of a node. In the case of directed graphs, we talk about in degree and out degree. What is in degree? The number of edges entering into that node is called the in degree of the graph. The number of nodes leaving that is called the out degree. So, a tree has a root which has in degree 0 and every other, it has some structure like this. Every other node will have in degree 1, and if you take any node A, there will be a directed path from the root to that node A. So, a tree has such a structure and it is used as a data structure in many cases. For example, look at this. This is the root. It has got in degree 0. Out degree may be anything. It can have 3, something like this. You may also have something like this. And if you take any node, there is a directed path from the root to that node. If you take any other node, it will have in degree 1. Only one node edge will be entering into that. Out degree can be anything. And here this is called the father and these are called the sons of that node. And similarly, the father, if this is the father, the sons are these nodes. And this is called an ancestor of this node and this is called a descendant of this node. These are some of the terminologies which you commonly use when representing the trees. But the main fact you have to realize, these are the 3 points. There is exactly one node which is called the root and the root has in degree 0. Every node other than the root has got in degree 1 and for every node A of the tree there is a directed path from the root to A.
you.